What is going on, guys? So today we're going to do the game grades for the Dallas Cowboys after that god-awful, atrocious, embarrassing loss at home to the Cleveland Browns. Guys, that game sucked. I understand that. I've already eaten crow in a couple of videos, which I'm cool with, by the way. I love the criticism as long as it's constructive, but let's go ahead and jump into this video, right? So, quarterback, which is kind of tough for me because Dak played a really good game, and I feel like I'm being a little too, I don't know, harsh on the guy by giving him a B. But at the same time, that fumble came at the worst time possible because we gave up points there, and then we fumbled again, which wasn't on Dak, and then we gave up more points, and it seems like the defense just completely fell apart at that point. So the first fumble was really tough. Was it Dak's fault that Myles Garrett got that pass rush to him immediately? No, not really. But at the same time, Dak knows that it's just Terrence Steele and Myles Garrett there one-on-one from his right side. He's got to know to get that ball out quick. And to be completely honest, I would like to see, and this kind of goes on the coaches more than Dak, but I would like to see Dak having Zeke audible and to just protecting him on that right side in that scenario, knowing that he has to hold on to the ball a little longer to let the play develop. But Dak's got to know when you got a guy like Terrence Steele out there covering or guarding Myles Garrett, then there's going to be some issues, and you got to get that ball out quick. Besides that, Dak was really good. The 500 yards speaks for itself, although, some of the yardage did come in trash time. But, I mean, you call it trash time, but he did almost come back. He made it a one-possession game at one point. So it really became where it wasn't trash time. At the same time, guy had almost 200 yards in the first quarter. So Dak was awesome. We're not going to discredit Dak. The only thing outside of the fumble that I would critique is that he did try to fit some balls into some tight windows, and the Cleveland defenders like Andrew Sadejo, they were all over a couple of them. They just dropped them. So there could have been a couple more interceptions. I'm not even going to bring up the interception at the end of the game because, in my opinion, the game was over at that point, and Dak was just trying to make something happen, right? So Dak had a really good game. Maybe a B's harsh, maybe at least a B+, but really good. I like what I saw from him. Moving on, Ezekiel Elliott. So the one fumble was just horrible. And it was right after a touchdown that we gave up due to the first fumble, like I mentioned. And so I can't defend that. Zeke, I would give, man, I would try not to be too harsh because of one fumble, but I mean, what did he really do that was good? He had 12 carries, which I understand that they were going to stop the run, and he had 50 yards, so he had a couple nice carries. I want to give him a C, but it's probably closer to a D, so maybe we'll give a D+ or a C-. I'm kind of struggling with that one for Zeke. And then the run game was kind of a no-show again, so I feel like he's right there, D+, C-. Moving on, we'll talk about wide receivers. Wide receivers were the best unit, besides quarterback, obviously, on the team. But the wide receiver group really didn't make any mistakes outside of Amari Cooper for the second time in a row, just kind of giving up on a play at the end of the game. Now, I haven't watched that play too closely, as I haven't gone and rewatched it. But it seemed like he could have, at the very least, put in a little more effort on that play and kept it from being an interception. But, I mean, the game was out of hand at that point. So if I'm not going to critique Dak too much from it, I probably shouldn't critique Amari Cooper too much either. Cooper played a pretty good game overall, and he made some nice catches. And he almost made one-hander where he, jumped up in there. It was just it would have been an insane catch. He didn't catch it. So, you know what they say about almost close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. But moving forward, I think this was a good game for Amari Cooper to improve upon. I'd like to see him give a little more effort when we are kind of out of the game, and he still needs to be mentally focused, even if we're not within a touchdown or two. Outside of that, I mean, Michael Gallup had a couple awesome catches. He was great. CeeDee Lamb, this was, I guess you could call it his breakout game, but he's been doing most of this pretty much every week. He did have a touchdown or two that finally, I mean, it was just bound to happen, and he's going to have plenty of those this season and throughout his career. The guy's just awesome. He's fast. He's got great hands. He's got an awesome attitude, good mindset. Dude just loves to go out there and compete. So if I had to give the highest grade on the team, I mean, I'd probably give it a CD Lamb for that game. So if I'm grading the wide receiver core, I mean, it's definitely in the A's again. I guess if you want to put a little blame on Amari Cooper for the interception and maybe a couple other plays, and I guess A- or an A. I mean, I wouldn't give below an A, to be completely honest. Moving on to tight end. Gosh, I think there were a couple plays that Schultz had an opportunity, just couldn't come down with it. They weren't easy plays by any stretch of the imagination. He had one really nice play, though. But again, it's just like one play that I'm remembering. Blake Bell, and kind of that time when we were just starting to come back into the game, he had a play where he dragged a guy for like 10 yards. So I was impressed with the tight end unit. I mean, they didn't do enough for me to give them an A, but I would definitely say B or B+. I think they were really good. And again, just improving weekly moving forward. So I like what I saw at a tight end. Offensive line, yeah, this is where it gets a bit ugly. Terrence Steele, just starting Terrence Steele was a terrible move. He was horrible. I think he's doing his best. I'm not gonna hate on the guy after I just said he was horrible, but I mean he just does not have the talent on the field to be able to block against a guy like Myles Garrett. Period. I'm trying to think of if the offensive line gave up any sacks outside of that right side with Brandon Knight and Terrence Steele. And guys, I'm not coming up with much, so I don't know if I want to give them a F or even, I mean, they probably even a D. I mean, I'm thinking like a C, C-, and I might be wrong. The tape will show maybe a D. We weren't able to run the ball very well, so for that reason, I wouldn't give them above a D. So maybe not C or anything. Yeah, we'll stick with D for the offensive line as a whole, just because it was nice having Tyron Smith back, and Biotish was thrown into a situation where Joe Looney got hurt early and that kind of thing. So I don't want to give them an F for just because they did compete, but we got to do better on that right side. I think it got a little better when Brandon Knight was in, but still, he couldn't guard Lel Collins. He couldn't guard Myles Garrett one-on-one, and that comes down to coaching. We got to do a better job protecting that right side when we know Myles Garrett's attacking and he's going to beat you one-on-one. So we got to double team him. Put Dalton Schultz, or especially Blake Bell, big blocking tight end out there, and let Zeke block some more too, because he's been doing a great job at it the first few weeks into the season. Now, let's move on to the defense. And guys, it gets worse from here. Defensive line, I'll note one good thing. I saw DeMarcus Lawrence make a couple decent plays in the run stop game, right? So he made a couple nice tackles where he got a little, I don't even want to say he got pushed. I think one time he wasn't covered. He wasn't blocked. And he stepped up and made a nice tackle. At the same time, we gave up like 8 yards per carry. I think it was 7.7 yards per carry for the game. And at one point, it was like 10 yards per carry during the game. So I'm not going to give the defensive line any credit. They couldn't get after Baker Mayfield. Credit to Cleveland because they used a lot of misdirection and play action to get Baker out of the pocket, use his legs properly. When that did happen and the defensive end wasn't blocked, they always hesitated like a deer in the headlights. And then they started running after Baker once it was too late, after they hesitated. And this happened multiple times throughout the game. And this is something that we do. We did it against the Los Angeles Rams as well. We've been doing it for a while. And that gave Baker just enough time to hit the open check down and get some extra yards. So I'm giving the defensive line I want to give them an F, to be completely honest. The 8 yards per carry, the 200-plus yards, the 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean, even when we finally were showing a pulse and back in the game, we gave up that rushing touchdown to Odell Beckham on one play. I guess that's probably not really on the defensive line as much as linebacker safety, but yeah, I'm giving them an F. They didn't show any pulse, in my opinion. Moving on to linebacker. Yeah, I saw Joe Thomas make a couple nice plays. Francis Bernard, I didn't notice if he was even in the game. I kind of forgot that he was even on the 53-man roster as of yesterday. I know he was just placed there. I was kind of excited for it heading into the game, and then the game started, and I got so sidetracked by how bad we were that I forgot to even look for Francis Bernard. So I hope for his sake that he didn't play, because it was so bad that I wouldn't want my name on it if I was him. Jalen Smith is the second highest paid player on the defense, so he deserves a big part of the blame because he just wasn't good, and he's such a likable guy. I get that. I think DeMarcus Lawrence is likable too. I think he talks the talk. He just isn't walking the walk right now, and neither of them are. So we got the highest paid, the biggest contract on the team, not the highest salary because that's Dak, but the biggest contract on the team is DeMarcus Lawrence, just not showing up. Clearly being paid like a Myles Garrett type player, but Stephen Jones was right. He's not that type of pass rusher. He's just not. He doesn't make the difference in the game like some of those guys do, like the Aaron Donalds of the world. But anyways, yeah, Jalen Smith was equally bad. I want to give the linebacker core, and maybe one of these groups I give an F to. Maybe they were a D. I don't know. I haven't gone back and watched any film yet. I'm not a big film guy, so I'll listen to a lot of like Law Nation's videos and stuff like that for film, and I'll watch other guys who really know what they're talking about with the film. I don't see that the linebacker core did anything to deserve anything above an F, but we'll see. Defensive backs, okay, that's one position I'm not going to give an F to. And not because they were good, because they weren't, but Trayvon Diggs, man, he's out there competing, right? The guy is doing the best he can do, and he's covering well. His cover skills aren't bad. Like, every catch the receiver has on him, he's right there, draped on him. They're just making some good catches out there. At the same time, he's a little banged up. He's playing hurt. So, and I know DeMarcus Lawrence is too, but different situation. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence was playing hurt when he had his career high in sacks right before he got paid, but then he got paid and all of a sudden he can't play as well hurt. But yeah, Trayvon Diggs went out there and competed. We all know Darryl Worley was bad, but I'm going to blame the coaches more than I'm going to blame Darryl Worley for that, because from what I've seen on tape, and this is one thing I've definitely noticed, even though I'm not a big film guy, Darryl Worley's a safety. He might have been a defensive back most of his career. I don't know how much he's played each position. I know he's played both, but the tape shows me he's a safety. He cannot cover Odell Beckham one-on-one, but when I've seen him play safety, he has been in good position sometimes. So we put him in a position to fail, and he did. I'm going to give the defensive back group, you could give them a D+, C, C-, something in that range. They weren't great, but they didn't have much to work with. Safety, I'm leaning towards like F. I mean, missing tackles, completely blown coverage. Again, maybe it was a D. To me, it was an F. Just safety didn't show anything to me. Xavier Woods isn't exactly out there making plays either, so it's not just Darian Thompson. But maybe if we put a decent player next to Xavier Woods, maybe he would look like a formidable NFL player. Anyways, the defense was just atrocious. It was horrible all the way around. We'll move on to special teams, and I'll include the special teams coordinator and as well as all the players. So I'll include coaching with the way they played. It wasn't good, guys. Again, Tony Pollard out there returning kicks, and I think one of them was really bad. And another one, he returned it out to the 26, and I'm like, okay, that was his first average return where it didn't look awful. He looked fast. He found the hole and that kind of stuff. Cedric Wilson was a good returner, but if somebody else made a mistake, and Cedric Wilson stepped up and picked up the ball and ran with it and got us 10 yards. So instead of being out on the 5 or 6, we were out on the 15. So that helped us. The onside kick or squib kick or whatever that was towards the end of the game, right before we gave up that last touchdown to Odell, what was that? I have no idea. So special teams didn't go out of their way to hurt us this week. So I guess I won't give them an F or even a D, but they didn't really do anything great either. So C-. They weren't good. They were probably worse than a C-, but they didn't do anything to lose us the game. So in that respect, besides maybe that onside kick was so bad. So besides that respect, At least Greg Zuerlein went out there. He made his extra points and etc. So I'm okay with what they did as far as like a C minus goes, for doing the bare minimum. Now we'll go to coaching, and this is where it gets ugly again. Mike McCarthy, I'm just going to give an F for this game. I mean, there's no good things to build on as far as Mike McCarthy goes. We knew what the offense was capable of last year. There was inconsistencies with Jason Garrett and Kellen Moore's offense that we thought maybe Mike McCarthy would come in. This is the only reason why we brought him in, was to kind of fix up those inconsistencies and to just run an explosive offense, and it hasn't happened. We're having the same problems under Mike McCarthy, arguably worse. He definitely deserves an F for this game, in my opinion. He was outcoached by another rookie coach in Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski's game plan was great on offense. Not only were they able to run the ball well, that's kind of on the players, but the play action, the misdirection was awesome and totally stumped us. The fact that we have Terrence Steele starting, we have Darian Thompson starting, but then Brandon Knight comes in later in the game, and we know he's a little better than Terrence Steele, so why didn't he start? Then Donovan Wilson, who impressed in training camp, comes in later in the game for Darian Thompson, who hasn't showed a pulse, so why didn't he start? And maybe I shouldn't give the safeties an F, because Donovan Wilson at least competed and made tackles, so you know what, I'll move them to at least a D for the way he played, because I think he led the team in tackles, and from what I saw, he wasn't god-awful like the other guys. But yeah, it comes back to coaching. So I'll also give McCarthy some of the blame for the right tackle just being left on his own, trying to block Myles Garrett. That falls on him, in my opinion. Next, Kellen Moore. I mean, at times the play, I swear I say this every freaking time I talk about Kellen Moore. At times the play calling was really good, and we did our own play action and misdirection, and we had some big plays where we actually looked like a creative offense. Sometimes it got a little too cute, but at times it was really good. But to me, it's just unacceptable that there aren't tight ends on the right side lining up, blocking Dak on passing downs. If you're Kellen Moore and you're running this play that takes a long time to develop, so you have the receiver 20 yards downfield trying to get open, and you expect the right tackle to be able to block Myles Garrett one-on-one, you know it's working. So it's just it's not working. It's just a lack of adjustments to not have the tight end in there. So yeah, I got to give Kellen Moore F, and maybe he wasn't that bad. Maybe because he did do some things right, but that lack of ability just to make an adjustment there just kills it for me. No excuses as far as I'm concerned, and he's not an F. We'll give him a D or a D. Yeah, we'll give him a D or a D plus, because he did, and maybe it's even slightly better than that. Maybe I'm just ranting and over exaggerating, because he did do a lot of things good as well, but the bad outweighed the good as far as Kellen Moore goes. Defense, F minus. I don't even believe in F minus. I'm just gonna hand it to Mike Nolan, because that was the worst Mike Nolan could be. And usually the first few weeks I've at least been able to say, you know what, in the second half he came out and made some adjustments. Well, the adjustments this week and there weren't really adjustments, right? The other team just started playing differently when they were up 41-14. But we were atrocious defensively, scheme and all. We got out-schemed until the game was 41-14. So the game was over. And then I don't even see that he really made adjustments. We just started playing a little better. Cleveland took their foot off the gas a little. That's what happens when you start running the ball more, and even though it was working. And then you start playing a little more zone coverage, and our offense got rolling more. So I didn't take much out of that fourth quarter. Outside of that, Dak was very competitive, and the guys kept competing. But yeah, the defensive coordinator has got to be held accountable. I don't really believe in firing a coach during their first season, or even during the season at all. It's not going to happen to Mike McCarthy this year. And you know, he's got to have a chance to prove himself. I think at this point we're learning that it wasn't a great signing, but at the same time, it's not always going to be this bad, I hope. So let's at least see what that can become. Right now, Mike Nolan is a guy who his days could very well be numbered. He may not last the season, and if he does last the season, then if it gets much worse, I don't know. We got Jason Garrett, who, and to Garrett's credit, he has no weapons on offense in New York, but they're struggling to put up touchdowns. And if they make our defense look as bad as we looked this Sunday against Cleveland, then man, Mike Nolan's days very well could be numbered. So, anyways, F for him. Yeah, Cowboys just didn't show up this Sunday. They made me eat a lot of crow. It tells me what kind of team we are moving forward. You'll hear me talk a lot about the Giants game this week. And, guys, the Giants' offense is bad. I'm picking us to beat the Giants. I think we're just a little bit better. We just have a little bit more firepower. That doesn't mean I think we're good, because I'm telling you right now, we're not good. But I do think we're going to beat the Giants. Would I be shocked if we lose to the Giants? No, definitely not. But I do think we're going to beat the Giants. So I'm just going to be honest with y'all moving forward. Right now, I've said this already. If we were playing the Cardinals this week, probably wouldn't pick us. I'd definitely pick the Cardinals today to beat us. But right now, I think we're going to beat the Giants. Do me a big favor, guys. If you enjoyed this video and other Cowboys content, then make sure you smash that subscribe button on my channel to get more daily Dallas Cowboys content from me. I've been doing collaborations with J Tuck from Cowboys Fans Only. He's awesome. I appreciate him having me on his channel every week, and as well as Law Nation. Really love his insight. Law's the real deal. If you're not following him already, which I'm sure you are, definitely go check out his channel as well. So both of them, appreciate them, and I appreciate you guys. I did my first live stream after the game Sunday. It was kind of rough, but I had a couple guys come on, and I was a little surprised. I didn't expect any live comments and that kind of stuff, so I really appreciated that, guys. I don't get paid yet anyways by YouTube or anything, so... But I do treat it like a job, and really like a full-time job. So I do appreciate just the little stuff like that, guys. There will definitely be a lot more Cowboys content moving forward coming from me, and I'm looking forward to get better each week. I think that's pretty much it for today, guys. I'm out. Peace!